And thanks for the first edition of Ideas Exchange here on TV XYZ. It's been a long Xmas break, and I believe many of us are happy we've been able to cross over. On 31st night, many people never believed 2024 will ever come to meet them. And today, here we are. We are alive, and we are happy to have seen 2024. And I believe that as the months unfold, many things will come up for discussion. 2024 is a crucial year. It's a year many of us will be looking up to what political parties will be telling us ahead of the December 7 elections. It means that there will be campaign issues that will cut across sectors of the economy. Most especially, many Ghanaians will be looking up to what the political parties will be promising. So as we speak, there is already this conversation about 24-hour policy proposal. I hear Dr. Baumia has spoken about a blue chip or a blue whatever we know will be outdoored when the political parties actually come out with their manifestos, which will spell out what they intend to do post-2024. That is, from 2025, whoever wins the elections. But there are some critical issues I want you to reflect on, even before I tell you what tonight's topic is about. 2024 will come with its own challenges. Don't forget, the NPP wants to break the 8. And so I would look at whatever they have captured in the 2024 budget as their last flagship program that should be able to turn the economy around, put smiles on the faces of Ghanaians, and if Ghanaians believe that that is what will convince them, then maybe NPP will be retained. But don't forget that the GRA is already planning to implement new taxes, which means you are going to tighten your belt. It means that you are going to struggle even more. We are now waiting for what our debtors will consider as Ghana begins talks with the Paris Club about how they have to restructure the debt that we owe. Again, there will be security issues. The EC is thinking about closing the elections at 3 p.m. EC is still bent on using the Ghana card. EC is bent on voting without indelible ink. We know Afarijan spoke yesterday, and he has totally spoken against the proposal by the Electoral Commission. And so these come with election issues, security, and so on. So these ones will be much of our conversations on Ideas Exchange as we proceed gradually into the main campaign activities into 2024 December 7 elections. But tonight, our focus is on one major project that was established in the 50s, that was seen to be very active through the 60s and the 70s, till Ghana owned it as a solely 100% owned state entity. Today, the conversation is that this facility has either been deliberately run down to make it easy for a group of people in government today, as we speak, to sell it off to maybe cronies so that they can reap the profit for forever. This is one school of thought. The other school of thought is that workers of this entity themselves must be blamed for its state today. And I'm talking about the Tema Oil Refinery. Now, the video I will show you will help you to appreciate the architecture that is sitting at Tema, that is supposed to have been tapping into our oil find today, that should have created more jobs, that should have given us the leverage as a country which is producing oil, which would have made oil and gas maybe cheaper, especially for the Tema plants, because we know many Ghanaians are already talking about Dumso. Why? Because government owes the independent power producers. Asogli plant, for example, last year was talking about the high cost of running operations because government owes them, they have to buy parts and so on. My friend was speaking to me today that the Tema Oil Refinery, for example, is one project that Ghana must make sure we protect, because it will be among the very few facilities that we can be proud of, most especially because Ghana is an oil producing country. Now, today, the Tema Oil Refinery we are talking about today is because the workers are agitated, they are angry, and they address the press conference. But I want to give you a brief history of this facility if perhaps you have forgotten or you never knew much about Tema Oil Refinery. So I'll share these graphics with you on the screen for you to appreciate what this facility is. The Tema Oil Refinery was established in 1957 with a 45,000 barrel per day capacity, and is still the only major or the biggest oil refinery in Ghana. In 1977, the government of Ghana became the sole shareholder. The name of the refinery was changed to the Tema Oil Refinery. Remember, it was originally named after a Ghanaian Italian petroleum company, and was incorporated as a private limited liability under the company's ordinance on December 12, 1960. Now, the Tema Oil Refinery was shut down its operations in June 2018. At least that's the information I'm picking. My guest will be telling me much about that. The refinery has not refined any crude oil since March 2021. Meanwhile, the workers are paid every month. I don't know how the magic is being worked out. The government does not have $100 million needed to revamp TOR or sovereign guarantee to be given to any company to bring crude oil to TOR. So the facilities there, we know, has become a bunker for other private entities to store a refined product and then sell to us as consumers. Civil society organizations in Ghana, including the Africa Center for Energy Policy, are raising questions about the lease of the nation's prized asset. That's the Tema Oil Refinery, which is worth about $700 million. So that is why the workers feel they are the last men left to fight for this entity if many Ghanaians do not understand what is going on there. Our conversation tonight will be on the crisis facing the company. What really are the issues and why workers feel they are saying the truth, and you and I as ordinary Ghanaians, if we have lost hope, at least it should not be all over, because we have the breath to fight or join them to fight this cause. So let's listen to the press conference they addressed today. The chairman of the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union, I'm talking about Bernard Owusu, addressed the press conference. First, he tried to raise some issues about what they suspect the board of directors are doing. Then they made a passionate plea to Ghanaians, so to the president on behalf of Ghanaians. I want us to listen to the first part, which talks about some critical issues, and then we'll listen to the plea to government. Then I will open up the conversation with them.
In fact, ask the 100% shareholder, shouldn't be the government of Ghana have enough confidence in the viability of TOR and be prepared to agree on a sovereign guarantee that backs any investor? Why did they proudly dismiss all three prospective partners merely based on their request for a sovereign security for their investment? It is surprising to read from the board press release that Torenco incorporation of a new special purpose vehicle by the name Tema Energy and Processing Limited was just broadening its share base. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, this entity, Torenco, has connived with the TOR board to find its way into TOR, to create loot and share by any means possible. In fact, the idea of the new SPV by the name Tema Energy and Processing Limited is to enable the board pay out of TOR account and an extra 300,000 cedis for a new due diligence report to overshadow and set aside the first report that painted the true picture of these same individuals. How on earth these self-acclaimed reputable board members could not know that as long as Torenco holds shares in the new SPV, Tema Energy and Processing Limited, and the core directors remain the same, no new diligence report will surface and mysteriously override the previous one. It is because two brothers have been made to register another company by the name Card Investment Holding. The same week the new SPV was incorporated, assigned 40% shares in Tema Energy Processing Limited, or because in the same week this new SPV, Tema Energy and Processing Limited, was incorporated, a new toll workers charity trust unknown to any worker and management, without any deed of trust, was equally registered and assigned a 20% share in TEPL. Is it not strange? As workers of an organization, you can go and sit under a tree and form a company to come and take the same companies you work with. It is only in Ghana that you will see these corrupt practices, and you see such individuals working with their shoulders high, claiming that the president of Ghana, the Republic, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, have their backing. There are very simple red flags to see, usually on shady and fraudulent entities and actors. For a board that describes itself as reputable and experienced, how bad can this be? What's still keeping Mr. Adumaku, Mr. Pinton, and Ms. Sapara Grant in that office? Do they need another acre brouhaha on Mr. Adumaku before his removal as the board chairman? Unless the appointing authority of this so-called competent and experienced board are themselves complicit. And last point, ladies and gentlemen, this toll board didn't see any wrong with the first 5 toll workers who connived with the Torenco to form the Toll Workers Charity Trust with themselves as directors and direct beneficiary of the 20% shares in their TEPL, Tema Energy Processing Limited shares. Rather, in these 5 individual toll workers walk about in the refinery, allegedly claiming to be having the support of the president of Ghana and the board, so nothing can be done to them. No wonder this reputable and experienced toll board, in their recent press release, will only assert hastiness of this criminal, corrupt, and conflict of interest assets.
And so you heard Mr. Bernard Owusu, National Chairman of the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union. He's the chairman. He raised these critical issues. They made some appeal to government. I want us to listen to that appeal. Then I will introduce them as they join me in the studio. Then we delve in the concerns that may not have been highlighted beyond what was read at the press conference.
Please, sir, Mr. President, this toll board lacks humility to eat the humble pie, as evidenced in their press release after the Attorney General position on the said transaction. Therefore, we are pleading as a response to the citizenship call and suggesting that you consider the following: the abrogation and termination of any ongoing discussion, intentions, agreement, or arrangement involving DC, Vitol, Big Bridge Asset Management, Torenco Asset Management, TEPL, or any person associated with this entity, because they have demonstrated their inability to partner with TOR. For the gross demonstration of incompetence by colluding and condoning a conflict of interest and chasing after a non-existent ghost in the shadow of credible partner for almost 2 years, we plead that Mr. Leon Kendon Appington, Ms. Edith Sapara Grant, and Mr. David Adumaku, the board chairman, be removed from the toll board for lack of objectivity in decision towards the search and identification of a credible partner for toll. The reassignment or transfer of workers whose actions and inaction are found to be in collusion or have collaborated with the board to give toll away to unavailable partners to bring about industrial peace and harmony.
So that was Bernard Owusu, who is the National Chairman of the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union. Today we looked for them, and we are happy to say he's representing the toll workers in the studio here. Bernardo Usu, the national chairman, you saw the beard, and therefore it is not difficult to identify him. He's in the middle. Bernard, you are welcome.
Thank you.
You should be very tired.
Very tired.
You don't look like a tall worker who is very angry, who wishes to see a company thriving and delivering as its mandate is supposed to be. You look very fresh.
First of all, I'm the national chairman of General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers.
So you don't have anything to do with TOR?
Well, I work with one of the oil companies, but I don't work directly.
So there is a reflection of one of the oil companies that TOR workers should see. The other gentleman on the extreme left is Francis Salah. He's the Deputy General Secretary of the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union of the Trades Union Congress. Don't forget that those in the oil industry also have a union. And this union, which is part of organized labor, come under the umbrella General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union. Yeah. So Tema Oil Refinery is one of such companies under this umbrella, and they speak to them for them as a union. Now, first of all, let me start with you, because we heard you, and therefore let me go to the General Secretary, Deputy General Secretary first before I come to you. Now, in the presentation, he makes some interesting allegation that two brothers have been made to register another company by the name Card Investment Holdings, and the other one is a new special purpose vehicle which was incorporated and assigned 40% shares, that's to TEPEL, and then you raised several other issues. Now, help us. How did you come about this, and why this serious allegation?
Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity. First of all, I think that this is a national union, and for that matter, we don't just speak. We don't just go out and make any other allegations. We obviously will have sources and very cogent information before we come out. The issue in TOR, as we speak, is just about a family who wants to take over TOR. The names you've heard over the period, from Bay Bridge to Tema, Tatamel, and then to Tema Energy and Processing Company, is the same face.
The same face?
The same face of people. So you have some 2, 3 people or 4 people who intend to take over TOR. And then at the time they started with Bay Bridge, then you realize that there's a problem with one of them, which has some criminal elements. So obviously, you can't associate that with TOR. So what can we do? If the name remains there and that person remains there, TOR will have a problem. Can we change the name and remove that person out? And that was how it was planned. So the first person who was found to have some criminal elements within was removed out somehow, but wasn't out completely. And then another company was formed. And then again, some due diligence has to be done along the line. And then again, we found that certain things that indicates that those wanting to take over TOR, first of all, are not credible. They lack the resources. They lack the wherewithal to be able to man the
When you say wherewithal, what does it mean?
So the financial resources, they don't have it. The technical competence that we needed to get TOR up, they don't have it. So if you're wondering, why would such a group of people want to take over TOR in the first place? What is the motive behind it? At that point you say, oh, Vitol is the one with the cash. Vitol has the technical competence, the capabilities. So Vitol is coming in. Only at the end of the day for us to get information. In fact, after our due diligence, Vitol says, oh, we only had a normal conversation with them. There is no agreement. And that discussion did not form any form of agreement to say that we are coming to partner them. And then Vitol walks out. In fact, Vitol never even entered in the first place. So with these findings, obviously, things would have to change. And then a new name comes in. And then a new name comes in. The final of it is Tema Energy and Processing Limited, incorporated on a holiday.
On a holiday?
On a holiday.
That sounds strange.
Very, very
But how did you know it was incorporated on a holiday?
So luckily, we wrote to
the Registrar General's Department,
because these are public information, that requires that when you...
But it is the same entity, funny enough, it is the same Registrar General's Department, which we know does not operate on a holiday.
Exactly.
Which is giving you information about the incorporation of a company on a holiday. Does it mean people sneaked this document into their database?
I think that they are not comfortable because we are revealing all these informations. If you don't read, you know, in this country, people assume that because we don't read, anything at all can be pushed out there. But this is a national union. Before we speak, we need to ensure that we have a credibility, you know, that people believe we have. And we believe we have that credibility. We speak with authority. People know what we are talking about. So we were able to come up with all those informations. And then it became an issue. We had meetings at the Ministry of Energy where serious issues came up. And you'll be asking, why are we leaving our country? Madam Arthur, such a big resource in the hands of people that will not have that capacity to handle it.
Now, that's a rhetorical question, which I'm sure we will try to find answers from you in the course of the conversation. But that was Francis Salai, the Deputy General Secretary of the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union. The national chairman is with us, Bernard Owusu. Bernard, now, when you spoke, I realized and I could feel from the faces of those who sat with you the concern that they have. Last year, this issue came up. Initially, there were rumors that TOR staff was divided, senior staff was either had a soft spot for government, and the junior staff were bent on ensuring that this national asset is not sold to cronies for their political interest. Now, if you sit back and you look at how all the conversation went, and it will look as if there is still a committed agenda to get TOR out of our hands. What have you found out, and how does it look like on paper?
First of all, let me thank you for having us here this evening.
If you can raise your voice a little.
Let me thank you for having me here, and thank your viewers as well. Rightly, as you just said, if I look back and go through my mind and think that things have been a bit rough for us as a national union and as a country. Why am I saying this? A company that all of us know, there has been a due diligence report on this company that is clearly stated that, look, this company is not fit for purpose. And you have workers. Initially, we didn't understand why these workers or this other union. Well, let me explain that. TOR, we have two national unions at TOR. We have the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union, and we have UNICOF, which handle part of the senior staff. We have both the senior staff and the junior staff with us, but they hold part of the, what do you call?
The senior
staff. So the board and some management were in sort of collusion with them. And we didn't understand why they were supporting such, what do you call?
A dubious deal.
Dubious deal. Only for us to come out with a search at the Registrar General to know that they have given them 20% shares in a newly SPV company formed by Torenco Asset Management, which my Deputy General Secretary spoke about it some few minutes ago. And the structure of the company, the Tema Energy Processing Company Limited, is that Card Investment, which is two brothers company, hold 40% shares. Then Torenco Asset Management also has what you call 40% shares.
So the 20% appeared to be what was used to entice
the workers,
the senior staff who initially appeared to be supporting government in this deal.
In this deal.
In fact, not the senior staff, the five people.
Well,
5 people
yes.
who form part of that category which are with UNICOF.
Exactly.
Right.
They had that, what you call 20% shares at the blind side of the rest of the general staff and even management. So we think
this is quite serious.
It's quite serious.
It's criminal.
Very.
This is quite serious, and this is the reason why we are not relenting, and we are still pushing that. Look, the president has to pay attention to our call. Last 3 weeks, I think last year, where the presidency, we met one of the deputy, chief of staff, and we lay bare all the facts that we have in our fold. That look, what is happening at all is something that government have to step in. And as my deputy rightly said, it's just some few group of people who have their intent to take over Tor. And these things were spearheaded by the board chairman, Leon Appentin, and Sapara Grant. The reason we are asking the president to ask them to leave the scene is that, look, these people have made up their mind that there is no way they will even accept any other proposal apart from this proposal that
is on the table that they want to accept.
They want to accept. And we felt that it's not fair. At least there should be an open tender. I don't know whether you are in the media space, whether you have come across any publication or any advert that Tor seek to sort of do that
for potential investors.
For potential investors that, look, bring in your money to come and invest in Tor. All that we are hearing is Torenko, and this has been 2 years, 2 solid years. And when the Minister of Energy inaugurates the board, he was clear and emphatic that the Tor board should ensure that they have a strategic partner to partner Tor to ensure that Tor refine.
And who was going to be this strategic partner? Because for him, and of course, while we are having the conversation, many people may not really understand what we are talking about. So the videos we have about the Tema Oil Refinery, it can be shown, because all those facilities we see there, we are told they are storage tanks. And even as we speak, many of these storage tanks, because Tor is not producing, they have become reservoirs for other oil marketing companies which
BDCs.
import and then that's BDCs, which import finished products and then store there for their businesses. Yes. Now, he has raised a very critical point. The Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, made a specific appeal to the board and, by extension, staff to look for ways to get strategic investors to revamp Tor. He's a cabinet member.
Yeah.
You met the president.
Yes.
And so for what reason would you think that he, as the minister who has the power to appoint, maybe on behalf of the president, the board members, and it will look as if the board members do not respect his recommendation and are bent on going ahead with this agenda that you are against?
Okay, so basically when we met the minister, you could see the anger in him because he was virtually kind of asked not to interfere.
Do you trust that the anger is genuine?
Very,
or he was faking it to please you?
It was clear because we don't think the Honorable Minister will want to fake just to please us there, because you are not talking to us. In respect of Tor, it's about Ghana. So if you want to please us and so you want to fake that anger, we'll be surprised. But clearly, the directions at which he was fuming shows that something has gone on behind him. Because the management of Tor, they were there. He was asking them questions. Why did you do this without getting me informed? Why this, why that? And I sit down there, you are doing this behind me. You could see the faces of those managers that somebody somewhere was controlling them. Obviously, it's this board three of the board members who are controlling affairs in Tor. And so you tie the minister's hand at the back whilst he's in charge. What are we doing to ourselves in this country? And that meetings are even held, documents are sent somewhere else. When those documents must pass through the minister for him to go through and authorize, rather, those documents go somewhere else before it gets to him. This one, for us, we don't think the minister can be held liable in this.
It sounds very interesting, but let's put it this way. The minister has stated a position clear.
Yes.
he represents government as far as TOR and its operations, its survival, otherwise is concerned. You have met a deputy chief of staff, but we are in a country where we've heard before that Professor Frimpong Boateng presented a report to the chief of staff for onward submission to the president. The rumor is that the president never had it. So it is possible that, but for this press conference, the president may not have had any information from the deputy chief of staff. Do you anticipate this is happening, or the president is clearly aware, and that is why those who are bent on selling TOR to brothers or companies incorporated during holidays and so on are doing this? What are your suspicions?
First of all, you see, the president is the president of the republic, and the president cannot be everywhere all the time, and he needed people to represent him. But I feel that with what has happened, even the Attorney General coming out clearly, stating that, look, this deal is not right. I think if not this part of our country, elsewhere, the board have to maybe dissolved, or the board themselves have to say, look, we've got it wrong and we have to resign. When we held about this, what do you call, Thermal Energy Processing Company Limited, that shares were float and staff, 5 staff of TOR had shares in it, and we raised queries about it. We have written to the OSP, we've written to the Attorney General back, and as we speak, these gentlemen are still walking freely with their shoulders up.
Have you had response from the OSP?
The OSP wrote to the management of the refinery to hold on with this deal and sort of wait for their investigation. And instead of the board respecting the OSP, it came out with a press conference trying to justify the actions and the inactions of the Thermal Energy Processing Company Limited. So clearly, there is some bigger hand somewhere that we don't know. That is why we have keep on organizing press conference, trying to bring to bear to the general public that, look, this is something that we have. Some of us, before this refinery was built, were not even alive. It shouldn't be our time that we will hand over this thing to a group of people to destroy it. Instead of we adding on to it, we rather want to give it to an individual to make money and drop it. Let me tell you, as we speak now, the workers of Thermal Refinery cannot even afford 3 square meals.
What does it mean?
It means that people cannot even pay school fees, people cannot even pay their bills, their rent and whatever, because salaries and other things are not even paid on time. They have their PF, which has been in arrears over years. There are a lot of issues at the refinery. And as we speak now, the refinery is being used as a tank farm where OMCs and BDCs will bring their products and the refinery will charge a fee. But that is not the core mandate or the core business of the refinery. The core business of the refinery is to refine crude oil. And if the refinery is in good, position, the prices of petroleum products will not be skyrocketing as we have it today. Because you are supposed to bring in crude oil and you refine the crude oil for a period of time. It could be 1 month or maybe 2 months. And within that time, the price fluctuation can be taken care of.
Now, you see,
and as a country, we don't need to get a lot of millions of dollars or thousands of dollars to go and, import finished products into the country instead of getting the crude oil, whereby you can get other products from the crude oil. Because if you import the crude oil, you can get gas out of it, you can get petrol, diesel, and other products out of it. If the refinery business is not a business that is good, why do you think that the Chinese can come into our country and build a refinery close by the refinery? So it means that this business is a profitable business that governments have to pay attention to it. And we don't know why this thing is happening. And you know, as a union, this union that the government is joking with, I can state here without fear of any doubts in my mind that, look, if you want to go onto the street, the effect on the economy would be very disastrous.
Now, when you say you want to go onto the street, does it mean that you are suspending services, or all your stakeholders will now decide that you want to face the bull by the horn because the president is not listening to this press conference, for example, and for how long are you going to wait before this happens?
We have been on the table for over 2 years, and we are doing this not because we don't have the men to go on the street to agitate, but we want the whole world to know that, look, we are not a union that want to crash the government or want to do anything that will bring what you call suffering to the masses, because we hold, part of our union is holding the aviation sector. We have BOST, we have GMPC, we have ENI, we have Metromas, we have STC, we have
logistics companies.
What you call WAPCO. We have all these companies.
But do you think workers are that angry? Because some think that this idea of press conference has become mundane, and every now and then we hear people just reading texts, and that's all. And therefore, we don't see workers really sending that strong signal to government as it used to be in the, maybe in the 80s and 90s, and therefore it is one of those things government would take for a ride.
The union, as it used to be, we have changed over time.
Focus.
Over time, and if you have one bullet in your gun, I don't think you can just fire it anyhow. Our last resort is the strike, and we don't want to be abusing it. So we need to go to the table and do the discussion on the table. At the end of the day, if we go to the street, we'll still come back to the table to have conversation or to have a...
So this is just one of the strategies. Let me now speak to my audience. My conversation is on Tema Oil Refinery. The preamble is that there is a deliberate attempt to sell Tema Oil Refinery at all costs. And we are hearing that a company was incorporated or are registered over a holiday. And search from the same Registrar General's Department exposed those who are behind it. And it will appear as if, even in spite of a strong directive by the sector minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, there are still people who think they have the protection of some powerful hands who are bent on selling an asset that belongs to all Ghanaians. And the workers are saying no. And they are saying, of course, this is not just mere talk and wait and see what government will do, but there are several arsenals they want to roll out. But just recently, there was an expose by an investigative journalist, Manasseh Azuri Awoni, about Ghana Revenue Authority, some corrupt criminal deals with a company which was involved in doing nothing, and they were paying hundreds of millions of cedis. Now, the president just recently has asked the PricewaterhouseCoopers, for example, to investigate that company's contract with the Ghana Revenue Authority. I read something by Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa that the GRA boss has moved his family, entire family, out of Ghana. Whether he's running away or he has been exposed, I don't know what that reverend officer or minister would be doing that. But that is not enough, because I'm told that there are more to it that will be exposed in due course. Is it that this expose by the union would also compel government to say no? This is an election year, and therefore all these critical matters are of importance to everybody, and they will be on the discussion table. But I'm asking, in all this, has the union contacted Parliament, and to what extent has Parliament is Parliament going to be involved in this? And how long are we going to wait? And will it be too late if we don't act now and the Tema Oil Refinery is sold? It will become another issue of judgment debt. I'll be taking a break. When we come back, I've seen a documentary on YouTube. This documentary was obviously sponsored by the architect behind this dubious idea about a plan at all costs to sell Tema Oil Refinery. And there are some beautiful words that suggest that maybe if this company had come in, Tema Oil Refinery would have been one of the beautiful entities. We'll look at that. But after the break, the conversation continues.
Upon your arrival, you are introduced to your butler, who plans your itinerary. So many activities, all in the same purpose. Visit the gym or the stables, they have it all. At my break, I'm able to practice my putting. They used only electric vehicles here. This creates a serene environment. I'm told it's over 1,000 acres. My cabin here sits on 2 acres with a large terrace space overlooking my private swimming pool. Now this is royalty. They have their own farms, thousands of fruit trees. I can also have my lunch here at the waterfall. Quite a beautiful place you have yourself.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. Natural mineral water. Simply natural.
Welcome back. This Ideas Exchange on TVXYZ. We are talking about Tema Oil Refinery. The conversation started last year about a plan to sell it off cheap to people to profiteer from a national asset. That conversation was shelved along the line just close to December. And many people would have thought that because of the expose at that time, those behind it would have given up. This is 2024. It's an election year. If this government will be kicked out, those in government who are bent on making sure Tema Oil Refinery is sold may be doing so because they want to think about their future. I've seen a video of a Nigerian who's talking about corrupt people who are thinking of eating today and are also thinking about what they will eat tomorrow, and so they will steal it today and keep it for the future. I don't know whether that is what is about to happen, but there are some key stakeholders in all this. Parliament is one. We'll speak to that. The Office of the Special Prosecutor is one because there is an ongoing conversation. It issued a directive, and therefore it must be interested in knowing whether that directive is being followed and whether it has the powers to stop it. I don't know. Then we have the Attorney General's office. They are the advisors to government on legal matters. So if the AG's office has spoken strongly about a decision that will not inure to the benefit of Ghana as a whole, the AG's department cannot come and issue a statement and go to sit on the fence. Now, before we go to that, I would want us to listen briefly to a documentary I was researching about Tema Oil Refinery and I saw on YouTube. And it was well packaged to make it look like these so-called criminals, in quotes, as the union is trying to expose because of the evidence I'll be challenging them to provide, if any, to help us understand why they are so convinced that this deal is bad, bad, bad. Just listen to what somebody was paid to attempt to put out there to make it look like everything is so good as far as Tor and its future is concerned.
For years, the Tema Oil Refinery has been a vital component of Ghana's oil production. However, due to the aging infrastructure and technological limitations, it is in dire need of a comprehensive overhaul. Recognizing the significance of the oil refinery industry and the tremendous potential it holds for economic growth, the Ghanaian government has initiated plans for the revamp of the Tema oil refinery on an unprecedented scale. This ambitious project aims to transform the Tema oil refinery into a state-of-the-art facility that adheres to the highest international standards of efficiency, safety, and environmental sustainability. The revamp will involve upgrading existing equipment, implementing advanced technologies, and optimizing production processes. To ensure the success of this transformative project, the Ghanaian government has partnered with renowned international firm Torrentco, a company which specializes in oil refinery engineering and construction. These experts, once negotiations are completed, are expected to bring their wealth of knowledge and expertise to the table by working in collaboration with local professionals to guarantee a seamless and efficient revamp process. According to insider reports, government would be handing over the day-to-day management of the refinery in a lease agreement.
So these are excerpts of a video that I'm sure if you go to YouTube, you'll find. We don't own any rights. We give it to whoever is behind the packaging. But the fact is, we have had Torrentco, we have had government, which is interested in the negotiations, and very soon it will be handed over. Have you seen this video?
Yes.
It suggests that maybe there was something good that is coming, or this just cooked PR.
Normally, when anyone wants to steal from the state, they plan all this. Because I remember very well some years back, myself and you, when we were working in the Western region, we were part of so many CSO forums where issues of Thor came up. And so when these things started coming, my mind started going back to what they had planned long ago. See, this is the agent's response to us. We wrote to the AG, dated 15th of July 2023, asking that we want them to give an assessment on Torrentco's credibility as a lessee of Tor's asset. Just let me read to you a few portions of the observations from the AG and then the opinion.
Godfrey Dami.
Now, the observations, it says that we note the following from the DDR, the due diligence report. The DDR notes that the identity of the proposed lessee, Torrentco Asset and Management, has changed twice during the due diligence process. Initially, it was Decimal Company Limited, then Bay Bridge Asset Management Limited, and now Torrentco Asset Management Limited. The report is limited to Torrentco Asset Management Limited. However, the history has been taken into consideration for the sake of completeness. We have earlier on indicated that all these names we are hearing, you have the same faces behind it. But because of the problems that is associated with one or two of them, they keep changing names. But the faces are the same. Now, two, the key issue identified in the DDR relates primarily to the lessee's financial and technical capacity, inadequate corporate governance structure, resource, and poor corporate housekeeping. This is serious. Then it says the major concern with respect to the lessee's capacity is that it is newly incorporated company with a stated capital of 500,000.
500.
And you want to take over Tor?
A $700 million facility.
Yes.
500,000 Ghana.
500,000. Without any documentation to show that it has the capacity to undertake the proposed.
No, so okay, you wrap up on that so that you can help me appreciate the Office of the Special Prosecutor. If one or two paragraphs can help us understand the position of the OSP as well.
In that case, I will go straight to the opinion of the agent. Based on the DDR submitted to our office, our inquiries and the above observations, our office is not in the position to vouch for the credibility of Tamil as a lessee in the proposed lease transaction with Tor. For the following reasons. One, from the DDR, Tamil has no financial and technical capacity to undertake the proposed transaction. That is one. Tamil has no established affiliation with Vitor or any other company which has the needed funds and the technical capacity to undertake the proposed leasing transaction. And with that, who supports Tamil lacks the financial.
Okay, so no, in brief, what was the stated position of the Office of the Special Prosecutor?
So the Office of the Special Prosecutor says this. Let me just read what it basically asking them to suspend the deal.
That's all.
Because
now, do we know any face or some known personalities who are behind some of these companies?
First of all,
because I'm hearing, for example, Bay Bridge. I said I've heard about this name in the past, and so on and so forth.
Even Chairman, just before that one, listen to what the AG says at the last end of it. Tamil lacks the requisite license and documentation to undertake the proposed leasing transaction. Therefore, proceeding with the project will therefore be contrary to the law.
Now, if
so, so with what my Deputy General has just said,
right?
You know, this report came out as soon as we heard that there is this what do you call a new company called Tema Energy Processing Company Limited, which means that the people got wind of what the AG is coming out with. That the AG is what do you call condemning
cancel Torenko,
Bay Bridge and whatever. And now they went ahead and formed the Tema Energy Processing Company Limited,
which was done on a holiday.
On a holiday. And give shares to the Torenko that the AG says that it is not fit for purpose, and give 40% to another brothers company called Card Investment, and 20% shares to what do you call.
Have you officially petitioned Parliament on this?
We have done all that. We've petitioned Parliament. We've petitioned what do you call. We've written to the presidency. We've written to the SIGA. We've written to the Public Procurement Authority. We've written to AG. We are yet to maybe write to the what do you call the ambassadors and what do you call the US whatever government to sort of maybe talk to our president.
Now,
sort of
let's take them one by one. Parliament as an institution, what has been the response? What has been the action?
We have not had any response from Parliament.
Do you suspect Parliament is compromising, sleeping, or not ready to work in the interest of Ghanaians?
First of all, we are a civil society group, and we know that this thing is not of interest of Ghana. So the best we can do is we write officially to Parliament to intervene. We've done that on two or three occasions.
There are three things I learned.
Not heard anything
there are
from
three things I've learned about the interface we've always been having with Parliament. You may write to Parliament through the chair of the committee. Yeah. If the chair of the committee is on the side of government, he may sit on it. Okay. If a letter was written to Parliament through the speaker may so act. Or if the letter was written and copied to maybe the minority leadership, the chair or the ranking member, and then other key stakeholders, they may be compelled to discuss this on the floor of Parliament. Now, if the letter was written and Parliament has not responded, and you think that this is an urgent issue of national interest, what are you going to do as a follow-up?
First of all, what you just said means that our letter, we send a letter to Committee of Mines and Energy.
Obviously, if the chair...
And not to the, what do you call, the speaker.
And the chair of the committee may be on the side of government. And if there are people in government who are interested, especially if somebody will get wind of what the AG's office is likely to put out and therefore quickly go and register a company on a holiday, it will tell you that that tangent is still on course. And therefore, you may have to go back to Parliament.
Yes, we will do that. We will do that because we were told that this Tema Energy Processing Company Limited, the shares that were given to these 5, what do you call, workers, the proceed or the profit that will come out of this transaction will be given to workers. Only for the board of the directors, what do you call, come out with a statement And within their statement, they clearly stated that they were going to use the money, the proceeds of the money, to sort of do. Let me read a set of what they said. The establishment of this workers' entity appears to have been done in haste. And the board of TOR has instructed the management of TOR to supervise an engagement between the various workforce stakeholders in a bid to establish a clear rule governance structure for the proposed initiatives, such as refurbishment of TOR medical facility,
It sounds
TOR clubhouse, purchase of new company bus, workers training and development, and other broad-based benefit to be identified.
so. Was it a response to sound like an enticement for staff to buy in after the expose or what?
After the expose, and we now taking those 5 on, and then the board, these three board members on for using this 5. Mind you, these 5 had used TOR's premises as their office. You are a staff of TOR. Now you are using the office premises as your office, their address
As
and
shareholders.
as shareholders. And so after we expose them, now this is what is coming from TOR. That it seems as if this was done in a haste.
Do you have an option to go to court? Do you have an option to go beyond just a press conference asking the president that for board members, for example, let me read this paragraph. These are very simple red flags to see. Usually on a shady and fraudulent entities and actors, for a board of directors that described itself as reputable and experienced, how can it be? And of course, the questions are, what is still keeping Mr. Adomako, Mr. Painting, and Mrs. Sapara Grant in that office? Do we need another Ake Energy Braha or Mr. Adomako before his removal? What does this mean?
What it means is that Mr. Adomako was part of the Ika Buhaha. And, you know,
we all know how it ended.
It ended. And this same person is the one who's the board chairman of
TOR.
TOR. So we think that we don't need this, because if you clearly see that what happened with Ika and what happened with this TOR arrangement, there is some similarities.
Do you see, we are wrapping up, do you see this to be a kind of PDS scandal in the offing? Because here is a Torenco which has metamorphosized into new companies that are springing up, being registered by brothers here and there, cronies here and there, who are being exposed every now and then, who have just 500,000. And if you look at the payment structure, I think I saw some document like that where they were going to pay that 2 million or 5 million, if you can speak to it. And it will look like they don't have anything, yet they want to own a certain company and pretend like they are now coming to invest in that company.
Per the board own statement, it clearly says that the refinery is having a debt exposure of $400 million, and somebody is coming to invest in such entity. At least you need $600 million, or even the 400.
At least something beyond. Yeah.
But this is the offering that the company they are offering to the refinery.
If you can read them out.
That they are going to pay annual rent of $1 million per annum. Additional rent of 1.107 million per annum. That is 13.28 million per annum. Then fixed maintenance fee of $423,000 per annum.
Maintain what? TOR facilities?
TOR facilities.
So, but if TOR is not operating and they are going to maintain...
That is 5 million.
Are they going to maintain the...
Variable maintenance fee of 8 million barrel per crude oil proceed. Then bonus payment of 0.5 barrel proceed beyond 8 million barrels. So you can see clearly that all that they are proposing, there is no evidential document proving this. It's just a mere presentation and a mere, words. So we are of the view that if you have all this money and you want to invest in Tor, please show us documents. Let us know who is funding it. Could it be that there are drug barons who are sitting somewhere with their money and they want to push into our country and use it, or what? So we ask these questions, and as we speak now, the feedback, let me use this your platform and thank the Attorney General for coming out with his opinion on this matter, because it takes few, and in this country where you are appointed as a government appointee, you toe the line of the government. But this time around, the Attorney General was straightforward, and because of the refinery as a state asset, he is the government chief
legal advisor.
And for him to even come out to say that, look, this is, and even the special prosecutor has also asked the management of Tor that please hold on. Some other school of thought are saying that, GTPCW, why is it that the framers of the law, the OSP, has said that they should hold on? Why are you still agitating that the board must go? Our reason is simple. We cannot wait until this investigation is concluded, and maybe if some people are found culpable, the law deals with them. We think that something has to be done immediately, because it has been 2 years. You've had a mandate of 2 years, and you have not been able to prove yourself. Why are you still there? And all the things that you have acted on has brought a lot of disgrace to the board and management. So why are you still there? All that we are asking is that you can't do the work. So please leave your position. Let the president appoint new people to come and take over the place.
Let's take our concluding remarks. If you can do this 1 minute each, it will help me, because our time is gone past 9 o'clock. What do you expect the Attorney General to do at this stage? He was very definitive. What do you expect the Energy Minister to do at this stage? He was definitive. And the OSP, beyond this direct appeal to the office of the president.
Okay, so for every investigation to be conducted very well, successfully, those who are integral in the process, they must be asked to step aside. They can't remain there for you to continue with the investigation. That's the natural rule of law. So we think that now they should be asked to step aside. And then the views, the opinion from the AG and then the SP, let them go ahead and come.
Now, if you are speaking to workers who are watching you, who will continue to watch, because this program will be on YouTube, will be on our social media handles, it will be repeated tomorrow at 1 o'clock. If you are speaking to Tor workers and generally your union, what would you say to them to guarantee that this battle will not just be a 9-day wonder?
First of all, what I want to tell the refinery workers is that let us not be selfish, and let us not think about ourselves only, but let's think about Ghana, and let's think about the future generation. We have a lot of people keep on asking that the Tamale refinery is not working, but we are paying workers, which they are right in a sense that your core mandate is to refine crude oil, but not to do distribution of what you call finished products. So let all of us come together as workers, and the 5 workers that have involved themselves in these activities, the law should deal with them, and the board should do the honorable thing by resigning from the position of the board and give way for a credible board to be in place, and for us to go out there to look for a credible partner to come and take Tamale Refinery to the glory of God.
Okay, so my guests have been Mr. Francis M.K. Salah, is the Deputy General Secretary of the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union. He's in white, sitting on the extreme left. And then Bernard Owusu is the National Chairman of the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union. Of course, if you listen to the narratives, it just tells you there's a grand scheme, and this grand scheme is not in Ghana's interest. That's one. Two, I made reference to PDS, which we know will be a subject of investigation in future because the state made losses. It was an embarrassment to the state, and when the U.S. government decided through MEDA that they were going to hold the other money that was supposed to be released, I believe that today, if we have energy crisis and Dumso is supposedly back, it is because we didn't get an instrument that was going to help ECG to be able to recoup and be able to make the sector a bit more fluid. That is one issue. Two, the SML deal through GRA, which was a complete rip-off, but for Manasseh and those who were very vocal, maybe the president wouldn't have spoken. Three, the Tema Oil Refinery. I sit back and I ask myself, the National Cathedral project is just about 5 minutes or 10 minutes walk from where I sit now. Anytime I drive past Parliament and I see that project and look at so much money that has been sunk in, I ask myself, Tema Oil Refinery, Tema Oil Recovery Levy, the Energy Debt Recovery Levy, all those communities that have happened over the years, could we have had some common sense to pump some money, at least the taxpayers' sweat, into TOR? One, to guarantee that our oil find will get some base where we can refine our own crude oil, just like we have the Atuabo gas plant, which is adding value to gas which should have been flared, which is now powering our thermal energy plants in the Abadi thermal enclave, and which should have been extended to thermal enclave. Could TOR have been a viable economic project that would have helped to transform Ghana's economy? Don't forget the dollar CD issue that has always been driven by more imports of crude oil. I'll stop here, but my challenge is to Parliament. The Speaker of Parliament must take interest in this. If the chairman of the Mines and Energy Committee, the ranking on the committee I know has spoken extensively on this, but if the committee won't act, the Speaker of Parliament, through our voice on this platform, must show interest in this, just as he has always said he has Ghana at heart. And I believe the president will do something different this time. My name is Ahianyo. See you next week for another edition of Ideas Exchange.